Well, hello everyone. My name is Duncan DeVore, and I work for Lightbend, and I am a Scala Matters contributor. In this video, we are going to start a series of videos discussing the differences between Scala 2 and Scala 3. This particular video will be considered part 1, and we're going to discuss, or we're going to focus on what I refer to as base syntax. Some people call it core syntax. And the syntactical features that we're going to talk about are going to be if and while expressions, for comprehensions, pattern matching, try-catches, methods, and classes. So let's go ahead and get started. On your right-hand side here, you're going to see our outline. And then on the left-hand side, you're going to see our playground where we are going to type the code and convert essentially Scala 2 to Scala 3. Before we get started, however, I just want to review some rules. And those are regarding parentheses, braces, and indentations. We're all familiar with them. They're very popular in just about every language known to man. So, excuse me, in this particular case, we'll talk about parentheses first. So, when it comes to Scala 2 and Scala 3, parentheses are required for most things in Scala 2, but not so much in Scala 3. There are some edge cases, which we'll discuss later on and most likely another video. But the same thing for braces, except it's reverse. In Scala 2, you have to have braces, but for Scala 3, you almost never need them. However, if you don't use them in Scala 3, then you have to use the next part, indentation. So both Scala 2 and Scala 3 use indentation. However, in Scala 2, because you have to use braces, it's really more for visualization, easy to read the code and such. Not so much to enforce code regions for the compiler, whereas in Scala 3 it is. So you can write Scala 2 exactly like Scala 3 for the most part. There are some things along the lines of implicits and others that are different, but as far as the code is concerned syntactically, you can write it very similar, or you can embrace, which is pretty much the preferred method in Scala 3, to use significant indentation. So if you don't use braces in Scala 3, then you have to use indentation, and if you get your indentation incorrect, then your program will not compile. If you're familiar with Python, if we have any Pythonisters out there, then this is nothing new to you. You're used to it. If you're not, it may be a little bit strange and may take some time getting used to. The great thing is you don't have to use indentation. You can just do it the normal way you do in Scala 2, but I think you're going to like it. I think the code looks better without the braces. Personal opinion. All right, and then one last thing that they have introduced, because if you don't use if you don't use braces and you choose to use significant indentation, and in your code region you have white space, right, is very common, then the compiler is going to compile against the last line in your code region, or if you use an end token, then it will stop at the end. So you would have end space if, end space while, etc., so on and so forth. With methods and classes, it's going to use the method name or the class name. Great. All right, so we've discussed some of the basics here. Let's go ahead and dig into the code. So here we have an if expression up here, and real simple. This code here is not designed to be. It's really just designed so you can see the differences in the code. Obviously, you're never going to write if cat equals dog because it will always return false or whatever the first part or the second part of the expression is. So in any case, and here we have a multi-line. So what would these look like in Scala 3? Well, they look pretty close. So in Scala 3, I would do something like val if Scala 3 equals if cat equals dog, meow, else wolf. So we have something interesting here. We have some errors. And why is that? Well, we need to introduce a new keyword here so that the compiler knows how to separate the condition, the expression condition, from the expression itself. And with the if, that's called then. And this is something that you've probably seen before. Excuse me. Now, for the multi-line, I'm just going to copy the Scala 2 version. Right. Actually, let's move both of these above the print line so we can keep things organized. Now we're going to rename this to 3. We're going to get rid of the braces and the parentheses. Now, again, we have that error, right? How do we fix that? Well, it's the keyword again. We have to add then back. Great. So now we have both Scala 2 and Scala 3 versions. Let's go ahead and copy these print lines. We will change them to Scala 3. And let's go ahead and run the program now and make sure everything is working as expected. Actually, I didn't mean to debug it, but debug works fine too. Alrighty, so Scala 2 wolf, multi-line Scala 2 wolf, and the same thing for Scala 3, so we're looking good. All right, now let's take a look next at while expressions. Clean up a little bit here. All right, great. So we're going to need to reset this var because we're using the same one. And we will get rid of the parentheses and the braces. But we have an issue. We have that same problem we had with the if, where we need to separate the condition from the expression. So we have another keyword, and that keyword is do, which you'll probably be familiar with. You'll see from other languages. So this if then and if do both are familiar keywords in other languages. So it may not be new to you. Again, without the braces, significant indentation, we also need that keyword there. We could have also added an end while as well, and that works just fine. So let's go ahead and run this and make sure that everything is working well. Let's do it one more time. Forgot to change this. And you'll see we have Scala 3 and Scala 2. Oops, I changed the wrong one. One more time. Okay. Outstanding. There's Scala 3 and Scala 2. They're both working. Okay, great. Now we're going to move on to the for comprehension. So, for brevity's sake, we're going to just copy this and paste it, and we are going to change this to number 3. And then we're going to get rid of these braces. And we need to put this guy where he belongs, right there. And we're done. So let's copy the print line statement, and we will change it to 3 and 3. Okay, so we have the first one with the braces, and then the second one, the Scala 3 without braces, and I could also put an end token here if I wanted to. And you'll see that that's fine. For the most part, you know, like we saw it up here, and while, we'll do it here for the for, the name of the for. And we have 4 Scala 3, 4 Scala 2. Excellent. So let's go ahead and run these and see what happens. Nope, there we go. So we're doing an addition between the two numbers and then adding them to a list and returning that value. So we get the right answer in both cases. Excellent. Now we're going to move on to a pattern matching scenario. So let's copy this here and put it there. And let's change to Scala 3. We'll get rid of these parentheses. And there you go. That's pretty much it. This one looks almost exactly the same without parentheses. The difference is in Scala 2 with, oops, that was a mistake. In Scala 2, if I wanted to, I could do this and it would still work. But if I were to do that here, you know, it wouldn't. So let's go ahead and put this back where it should be. And let's put these guys back where they should be. Excellent. And let's change this to Scala 3. And let's go ahead and run it. So match, as you can see, the time is 1400. If it's 1400, 2 p.m. Excellent. Alrighty, moving along. Let's go to the try catch. And again, some of these, you know, obviously these code samples look ridiculous or silly because it's, you know, of course 7 divided by 0 is going to throw an exception. But the point here is to show you the syntactic differences between the two versions. So Scala 3, let's get rid of these guys. And let's go ahead and make another print line. Let's convert it to 3. And we'll give her a run. Excellent. Try catch. We get the expected error. So, perfect. Now, something a little bit more complicated. We have a Fibonacci method here, which is going to calculate the Fibonacci member for a given integer that is passed in. So we're going to go ahead and copy this. And we're going to rename these things. We'll call this 3, 3, 3, and 3. We will also get rid of the parentheses. I'm sorry, the braces. And we'll get rid of this one. And then we're going to copy this and create a new print line statement. Scala 3, Scala 3. Now we will run it, and we'll see how this plays out. Excellent. So fib Scala 2 and fib Scala 3, when we pass in the number 10, we get the Fibonacci number 55, which is correct. And finally, we're going to take a look at classes. They're a little bit different, a little bit more involved than just removing the parentheses. I'm sorry, the braces. Not much, though. Pretty simple, actually. Oops, that didn't work out. Something went wrong there. All right, let's go ahead and copy this again. And paste it. Excellent. Let's change this to 2. Let's get rid of the braces. But we still have a problem. And again, it's a token. So in order to delineate for classes, because you don't have an equal sign or anything else, what we need to do is add a new token. And it's real simple. It's a colon. And we will rename this to Scala 3. And we are good to go. So let's go ahead and copy our testing print lines. Print line is your friend. Never let it creep into production. 3. All right, let's take this to 2, or 3, I mean. 3. Same thing here for this. Excellent. All right. Let's go ahead and run this and see what happens. We should get, as you can see down on the bottom, person 2 Scala, full name. We should get 2 more. That should work. And we do. In both cases, we have these 2 methods, first name and last name. And we execute both, or run both in our print statements for both Scala 2 and Scala 3. And we get the same results. So that wraps up our code section. As a short review, we have this idea of these syntax differences between Scala 2 and 3. And as I told you, this is going to be part 1 of a series of videos, which will describe other differences between Scala 2 and Scala 3. In this video, we reviewed the base syntax, and we specifically reviewed if and while expressions, for comprehensions, pattern matching, try-catches, methods, and classes. And as far as methods and classes are concerned, or classes in particular, with that colon token at the end of them, this also applies for things like enums and traits and objects, etc. Well, my name is Duncan, and I hope this video has been enjoyable and has been helpful, and I will see you the next time. Take care.